All glory to the Most High. Salute to everybody who rock with the channel. You know, New Orleans, New Orleans. I know I've been bringing you guys different content because technically right now I really can't speak too much on anything political. So I've just been bringing different content about different things. New Orleans, the home of the Saints, the home of the Pelicans, the home of jazz, the home of the blues, and many different things that New Orleans represents. The home of No Limit Records, the home of Cash Money Records. Back in the days when I was growing up, they had this rap group named, they had a guy by the name of DJ Jimmy, and they had Salute JB, and they had TT Tucker and DJ Irv. These are the pioneers of bounce music from the New Orleans area. That's DJ Jimmy and TT Tucker and DJ Irv. Those guys were pioneers. And back in the day, the terminology twerk, like, you know how they be saying females twerk, she twerking, she this, she that, with the twerk music. Back in the day, literally, twerking meant slinging a gun. The word twerking in New Orleans back in the 90s, the terminology was, I'm going to twerk something, meaning I'm going to put in work with this gun. I'm going to do this with that gun. And females used to dance off the beat. Guys would be saying some gangster stuff on the beats, but it was the da 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 da. That beat, and that beat to make anybody move or dance. And you know, uh, the bounce music for New Orleans, it been on the scene throughout Baton Rouge, and throughout the whole Louisiana actually. That beat was gravitating and captivating and catchy. It was more like New Orleans was on to dancing, while the East Coast was on to gangster music, and I mean not the East Coast, the West Coast was into gangster music, while the New York was into hip hop, straight hip hop, and all these other areas they hadn't found their flavor. Like Atlanta, they didn't find their flavor at this point in time. They had a few artists, but Jermaine Dupri, but they hadn't found their flavor. New Orleans came out, Juvenile came out with Back That Thing Up. And there was a song called Back That Thing Up by a guy named Jubilee. And Jubilee, he literally sued Juvenile, and they ended up selling out of court because he said that Juvenile basically stole his song or whatever, or the song was too similar. And Juvenile took that, Mannie Fresh and Juvenile took that New Orleans bounce sound nationwide with just that one song, but then they followed up with a few other songs, and it wasn't as big as that one song. But Cash Money, when they went nationwide, they didn't want the identity of a record label of bounce music. You see, the reason why bounce music in New Orleans wasn't really household, because the beats wasn't really authentic. The beats was always getting other people's songs and putting them on top of the beat, on the same beat. Now it's the same beat, but it's just they just use different songs, same cadence and everything. They just use different songs to overlap it while the person talk over the song. So artists in New Orleans used to have a problem with getting copyrights to anything because none of it wasn't really organic. You see what I'm saying? And so when you put a song on a beat that people gonna rock to and people already know the song is a classic record or a popular record, people gonna sing that song and dance to that beat. And that's the history of how bounce music was in New Orleans, but it originated in Africa. During those times, everybody used to be in the clubs and everything. You see, because at the end of the day, like Miami, the females will be dancing in every club you go to because the music they're gonna play that bounce music the entire night. So females were dancing every single night in clubs, and that attract the guys to the clubs. And you had the likes of Big Freedom, you had the likes of the Katie Ray, Josephine Johnny. You had the likes of Cheeky Black, the likes of Miss T. The likes of you had a lot of individuals that literally was into bounce music. Juvenile first song was Bounce for the Juvenile, Bounce for the Juvenile, Bounce baby, Bounce, Bounce, Bounce. You know, so it was a lot of different artists who come from New Orleans background. Check this out. Every rapper in New Orleans that was rapping in the 90s, when I say 90s, like 93, 94, 95, all those rappers when they went here, ended up going nationwide. All of them. Because when New Orleans burst on the scene with the Master P time and Cash Money, you know, they still doing their thing, but when New Orleans burst on the scene during that era, all those rappers were in the city already household names. So those labels, Master P went to grab anybody who was rapping who had a name in the city. If you had a name in the city, Master P was gonna come sign you at that point in time. Master P didn't care about how big his record label was, how many artists he had. He just wanted to put out 3, 4 CDs every month, you know, because he understood that get it while you hot, because eventually you're gonna cool off. And then Cash Money came in, he cooled off. See, Cash Money came, and that's my era of music. You know, Cash Money came, and when they came, they switched the style up. They changed everything up because they started talking about more of how New Orleans was. P was in between California and New Orleans, but Cash Money were strictly New Orleans, like out the project, out, you know, like this is New Orleans. This is how we living out here. This is what it is for real, for real. So all the people, like me and BG, the same age. So all the people that's that age, they gravitated to Cash Money because it was the likes of having more in common with Cash Money than No Limit. Even though No Limit, we listened to No Limit, but we had more gravitation to Cash Money. You know what I mean? And so when people be saying that Soldier Slim was New Orleans Tupac, you know, to each his own. You know, to each his own. Slim was a nice rapper. You know what I'm saying? Slim was a nice rapper. You know, and people got their opinion. You know, but things things back in the day, you know, it was like DJs. See, like right now, this you know, backyard. See my backyard. You know, like this backyard right here, right? I could put a speaker out here, get 3, 4 ice chests of beer, have 2, 3 bottles of liquor, turn the music on, invite all my people over, and check this out. We're gonna have fun. And if I take the speaker back in the day, if I take the speaker and I put it on the front, check this out. Everybody gonna come outside. You know, the street gonna get full. People gonna ride down the street with their car and their cars and stuff like that there. You know. But this was all a part of bounce music. This is what bounce music would do to individuals. Bounce music used to be like Lil Uzi Vert just want a rock song throughout New Orleans. When the new song came out, that's how it hit in New Orleans. Just like Lil Uzi Vert song came out, that's how bounce music hit in New Orleans when a hot song come out. I mean, it's all over the radio station. It's not getting played nowhere else, but it's all over the radio station. It's every female playing in their car, every DJ playing it, you know. But it's cold blooded how the word twerking, it started originally with slinging a gun. The word twerking was, anybody from New Orleans will tell you the word twerk was originated using a gun. Man, I'm about to go twerk something with this thing. Man, I'm about to go put in work with this thing. That's what the terminology when it came down to the word twerking. But females was shaking, you know, and they were shaking and doing what they do. And all of a sudden, with that beat, the word twerking turned to what it is today. And New Orleans has had so much of an impact on the world. New Orleans. I mean, that y'all guys seen the video I put out, the rich and poor's country at the same time, because you got Tyler Perry who owned 2 TV networks. You got Cash Money Records who pretty much got the hottest record company in the game right now with Universal Records, and you got No Limit, which was on top of the game at in the 90s. So check this out. No Limit was on top of the game from like 94, 95 to like 98. And then Cash Money came 99 98, 99, 98, and they just blew the lid off the music industry and still been running with it to this day. So if you go back to 95 and it's almost 2024, New Orleans have had the music industry in the chokehold for the last 30 years. New Orleans, have had the music industry and not just the music, the influence on the world, on the culture of hip hop for the last 30 years. And people don't like to give New Orleans their credit within the music industry. Like for example, people say Atlanta, people say Atlanta, people say California, Los Angeles area, people say New York, but they don't give New Orleans their props. They don't give New Orleans their credit. At the end of the day, New Orleans like literally changed the music culture forever. Point blank, period. I mean, from Drake making Kiki, Do You Love Me, from Drake signing with Lil Wayne, from Nicki Minaj from New York signing with Lil Wayne, Cash Money. New Orleans has had an impactful influence on the music culture for the last 30 years. Even Paris Hilton was signed to Cash Money. This is how much influence Busta Rhymes has got the Lifetime Achievement Award. He was signed to Cash Money. They have had the influence for the last 30 years. Last 30 years. They had the influence the last 30 years. So this is how much respect I have for my city. Because like others, I mean, the world is not giving New Orleans its credit the way it's supposed to be. It's not giving New Orleans its credit for a population of 500,000 people, city that you could drive through 10, 15 minutes, and with the impactful influence that it has had on the music game and influence for the last 30 years, it don't get enough credit. But guess what? Every time someone from New Orleans speak about New Orleans in a negative way, like the crime and what they did and the work they put in, because New Orleans has also been in the top 5 murder capital rates for the last 30 years. Every time somebody speak about that and talk on that, then a younger crowd from different cities from LA and this, they're fascinated with the drama, but they're fascinated with the drama, not understanding that they've been influenced by the creativity. So man, my city is awesome, man. My city is awesome. From the crawfish to the boiled crabs to the potatoes to the red beans to the jambalaya to the gumbo. This is an awesome city, man. This is an awesome, beautiful city, and it's about time that the world, you know, put some respect on New Orleans. Is one of the top tourism spots in the country. You know, Vegas is that spot, but if you go to Canal Street, it's a second. It's a second to Vegas. If you come to Louisiana, you come to the United States, New Orleans is a second to Vegas. We got 3 casinos, one called Boomtown, well, two, one called Boomtown, one called Harris, and they're very large. And the Harris sit off the river, and you guys know we have the famous Bourbon Street. You know what I'm saying? Some call it the French Quarters. We got the famous Bourbon Street. So thank you guys for rocking with the channel. Salute.